That's just how it is, and I'm your host, Ericka Monique Williams. Welcome to the show. Tonight we're doing part 2 of our show on love, how to find it and how to keep it, and how to deal with some of the obstacles that you face in dealing with a relationship. We have Brother Bilal here with us again tonight, but before I speak to him and before he enlightens us further, I would like to go over some of the things that he told us in terms of finding a mate. For one, Brother Bilal says to know thyself. It's important that you know yourself and what your wants and your needs are in your selection process. When you're looking for a mate, you have to be honest with yourself and know that if you find or meet someone in certain settings and situations in certain places, you need to know what that person is also looking for. We talked about intellectual attraction, physical attraction, commonalities, and common interests. Those are different ways to find and meet people. Those are not always the best ways to find a long-lasting mate. Once you have met someone and you begin dating, you have to be honest with yourself. You must know, once you found this person, what they're looking for as well, but you have to know what you're going to give up. What you'll compromise. You also need to know what you will demand and continue to demand in a relationship. Once you are in a more serious relationship and you start to have some of the problems that two people will most likely have when dealing with someone else, you need to be able to communicate with your partner. Sometimes you may start off on the same plane, and naturally you'll start to go in different directions. It's important that you communicate with your partner so that they will understand what your feelings are and you can open up and listen to what theirs are. And we said it's very important to communicate, not just talking, but also being willing to listen. When you are ready to take your relationship to the next level, you need to know sometimes when that is not the right person. Sometimes that person is not ready to take the relationship to the level that you're ready to take it on. Do you continue to fight and struggle? Do you take some time to give that person? But ultimately, do you know when it's time to give up? Now, on the other hand of giving up is taking your relationship to the next level. And we're going to discuss relationships where people are ready to get married or ready to get engaged or to live together. So, Bilal.
Yes.
We're ready now to move on in a relationship, to take it past dating. Say you and your mate decide that you're ready to move in together. Now, we know that there are a lot of people who choose to live together and live together for years as opposed to walking down the aisle and taking vows and being legally committed to each other.
Right.
But what is the difference? Because if you have a couple, I mean, you know that if you're living together for 7 years, that's a common law marriage. But you still have not gotten married. What is the difference between living with someone and getting married?
That's an interesting question. Let me just back up a little bit. You said a few things earlier, in your monologue about while you're in the relationship, while you're dating, now you're ready to take it to the next level. Before you get into the dating process, I think one of the things that you need to be thinking about, back to what I was saying about know yourself, know what you can compromise and what you can't compromise, and know what you're looking for, is that you got to ask yourself, why am I dating? Am I dating to get married? Okay. Is this dating my process of selecting a mate? Or is this dating my process just to have a companion, to have fun, and to be free willy and sexing? Because that's what, some people think dating is. So I think you have to begin with that question. Now, you're saying you want to get married. Now you're in this situation with your mate, and you want to get married, and your mate doesn't want to get married, I guess. That's part of your question.
Well, I want to know, because a lot of unmarried couples are scared to get married because they see married couples not happy a lot of times.
Right.
So, I mean, maybe growing up or maybe when you first meet the person, all right, along the line, you think ultimately you do want to get married.
Right, right.
But when I see a lot of couples that are married, I don't feel like it's something that I'm feeling like I did when I was a little girl.
Right.
Like, getting married is scary now because the divorce rate is so high.
No, you're right. You're right. Values have changed. I think, I was writing down some notes before the show had started. And the National Marriage Project, which is out of Rutgers University in Newark, New Jersey, they've done extensive research on marriage in America. And they noted that in their research that over the past several decades, that people are not getting married. Of course, if you heard on Oprah and other shows and whatnot, the divorce rate is extremely high. People are cohabitating together. They are still living together. And like you said, they may be choosing to cohabitate because they have this fear of marriage. And they have this fear because they see people getting divorced. They don't see relationships lasting or what have you there. Now, why are they doing that? Again, as a counselor, you have to sit down and get to specifics from the two individuals involved. But generally speaking, I think, like you said, you hit it on the nose, that it's that fear. And, some of the issues that you find in marriages that people bring up that may bring about this fear of people that are unmarried.
Right.
Are some of the complaints that men bring to the table, like, oh, once I got married, the sex goes.
Right.
Once I got married, she stopped cooking for me. Once I got married, she stopped doing the things that brought me to her, that got me interested in her.
Or he stopped paying attention to me, if we're from a woman's standpoint. Maybe the men, they change and start staying out all the time or not treating you like you're, his girl anymore. You're just the wife, the woman at the house. I mean, I've heard married men talk about their wives, and it's not intriguing. It's not appealing sometimes to hear men talk about their wives. They always complain.
Well, I mean, marriage is a tough situation. I mean, it is a work in progress. Again, like in dating, you have to keep the lines of communication open. And while in the marriage, like I was saying before at the previous show, you have to continue to do those things that you did in the beginning of the relationship. You got to show your appreciation for each other. You got to communicate to each other that you love them. You got to show them these things to keep this thing going.
Okay, but what are some of the married couples that you see? What are some issues that they're dealing with, so that some of our audience members may get a quick fix on how to help with their situation? Okay,
I had stated, previously that one of the common complaints is that men complain about, the sex becomes extremely infrequent, once they get married, Now, there could be a number of issues as to why that happens, within a marriage. I think number one, prior to getting married, there probably was a lack of communication and conversation about what sex means to the individuals. Oftentimes, to talk specifically, without giving, any names of a case.
Okay, 1 second, because we need to take a break.
Okay.
We'll be back with That's Just How It Is.